How do you keep up with the rapidly changing digital landscape in our interconnected world?
Fears about rampant rumor mongering and speech that's just a little bit too free led regulators to mandate a real name registration system. The purpose for this is to confirm that they're real people and their account is not a spam account. One user wrote, "If common people have to fear being disciplined and warned when they speak, that is a scary step backward for society."
And how do you view news from a continent both rooted in tradition and sprinting forward?
This humanoid robot is one of the country's major scientific projects since 2008.
Robots will lead the world's third industrial revolution.
In her inaugural speech, President Park emphasized people's happiness, mentioning it 20 times.
There is no place for an individual's dreams, talents, or hopes in a society where everything is determined by one's academic background and list of credentials.
Hi, I'm Thuy Vu, the host of LinkAsia. Every week we bring you the biggest news from Asia and the latest buzz in social media.
Despite the strong performance by the Chinese, there were plenty of people in China who were critical of the Olympic organizers. This post on Sina Weibo said, "The worst Olympic Games in history. No one else has been worse."
In Japan, a housing story of another kind. Authorities have eased restrictions on people visiting a town near the stricken Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant.
People who have homes in low radiation zones are now allowed to visit them during daylight hours. More than 80% of the former residents will be able to take advantage of the new rules.
Constitutional reform does not mean the Communist Party is ready to embrace democracy.
The idea was to have neighborhood meetings to gather opinion from ordinary Vietnamese. The proposal quickly became a petition, went around on the internet, and has now 5,000 signatures.
I was born in Vietnam and came here as a refugee at the end of the war. Over the years, I've seen how the region has grown and changed. The innovation, economic expansion, and even its political turmoil affect us all in this increasingly global society we live in. And every week, LinkAsia brings that to you. Thousands were buried in the rubble and many are still missing. It's the worst industrial disaster in Bangladeshi history. The Prime Minister visited the disaster site this week as family members held up pictures of their loved ones. How much does the relationship between industry and politics play into the conditions that led to the building collapse?
The pressure that the owners are facing constantly from the Western brands. They are being asked to deliver more, faster, and at lower cost.
Every program, we interview leading scholars and researchers on Asian affairs, bringing you fresh perspectives that you'll see nowhere else. What do you think the North is trying to prove?
Well, first of all, they're trying to get our attention, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. We're now very focused on North Korea and what North Korea wants. They've made themselves the center of attention, and I think that's their primary objective.
Remember this guy? The Worm, as he's known to his fans. Basketball player Dennis Rodman traveled to North Korea this week. The former Chicago Bulls star accompanied the Harlem Globetrotters on their goodwill trip to Pyongyang.
Bicycles used to be the only form of transport for ordinary citizens here in China, but now cars are king. One person says, "I can avoid traffic and more importantly, I can stay more healthy riding a bicycle."
Malaysia's opposition coalition, People's Alliance, was defeated by the National Front, which has been in power for more than 50 years. But did the National Front cheat to win? Earlier this week, more than 40,000 people packed a stadium on the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur to protest the results of the election. The opposition supporters wore black to symbolize a dark day for democracy. So what do you think happened?
Well, actually, the opposition performed quite well. They won more than 51% of the popular vote.
It's a half hour of news that puts an unfiltered lens on Asia. And you can find it all here on LinkAsia.
To stay up to date with the news and what's going on at LinkAsia, visit us at linkasia.org.